This is Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and today we'll be going over UFC on ESPN 23, Reyes versus Prochazka. We'll be going over the entire card, giving you thoughts and predictions. But before we do that, we'll go over last night a bit. UFC 261. What a crazy, crazy card. Man, Weidman to start off with, like that kind of broke my mind seeing it. Like I could not comprehend what I had just seen just based off of the whole history with him and Anderson, and then him breaking his leg like that. It was devastating. Like it broke my heart to see it. Like as much as I'm not much of a Weidman fan, but you don't want to see a guy go out that way. And then I'll just say it: the Chinese fighters, they all sucked. I was very disappointed, especially Zhu Rong. What the fuck was he doing? I had money on him. I put a little bit of money on him just because, but damn, that was very disappointing. What about you? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of rule of thumb, as you've mentioned several times. If you don't know a lot about fighters, or if there isn't too much information on them, and if they're coming into the UFC, don't bet on them. These guys, case in point, maybe more so with Zhu Rong because it's built into his last name. You're wrong to bet on them. Um, yeah, I don't know, it just wasn't their night. I guess unless they were coming into the UFC, it's their first fight, and the event was in China, it would have been a whole different story. I think, the Chinese judges or judging would have probably been biased toward them. But yeah, this definitely wasn't their night. Um, but I think one of the more, uh, I guess one of the things that not necessarily shocked me, but just impacted me the most was the crowds. Once the crowd noise, them booing Wei Li Zhang. I don't know if that affected her coming into the fight. I don't know if she expected to get booed. I expected more USA chants or something. I didn't hear that. I heard more "fuck fake Paul" chants, which was funny and appropriate. I'd say the biggest shock for me was how she got finished. I knew Rose, I had a good feeling Rose was going to win, but just seeing how she got finished was pretty good. Um, but I guess the most shocking, and I hate it when I'm right sometimes. And this was one of those times when I knew Usman was going to win. I just didn't know he was going to put Masvidal's lights out. Not only that, but um,
I
I,
had a feeling it would.
I didn't expect. I've said it before, and I've said it to you that I didn't expect Masvidal to drink his own Kool-Aid. He did going into this fight, a lot of people may or may not know this, but a lot of these guys don't, usually just walk in. When they do their walkouts, they're usually just with their cornerman. Masvidal, I saw this guy. I think he's a Puerto Rican um, reggaeton star. I won't say his name because nobody's really gonna care. But he walked out with him, and I thought that was very. I don't know what the word is, but it's like Floyd Mayweather. He walks out with rappers and stuff, and I thought that was very, I guess, Masvidal of him. I don't know, doing that, and I was like, oh shit, this guy is like really down his own rabbit hole right now. And I thought, oh shit, all right.
Well, we
Chad Johnson bet I don't know how much on him, and I saw a video of him like screaming after he got knocked out. He's like, oh well, that's like however many $1,000 down the drain.
well he became no Masvidal after that.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward. I think I saw I didn't watch the post conference with Dana White, but I believe I read something along the lines that he's saying for sure Colby's going to get the next shot, and I sure as hell I think it'd be a lot sweeter if Colby actually ran through tomorrow versus Maz. I mean, it would have been cool, Masvidal being champion, and then Masvidal versus Colby, but I think Colby versus Usman is going to be pretty big. Not crowds are back. And it would be pretty cool to see, Rose, on another card like that. But anyway, yeah, let's yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't want to keep babbling.
Well, let's get started with the first fight of the night. We've got Luke Sanders versus Felipe Colares. This fight kind of thrown together. I think Luke Sanders was going to fight uh, Damon Jackson. Colares was going to fight Journey Newsom, and now they're kind of put together, and it kind of throws everything off for me because certain fighters would have done better against other fighters, and these two are kind of a mystery, really. Currently, the odds we have it at. Well, actually, I don't even have odds. I would assume that it might be a pick 'em in my opinion because like they're both coming off losses. Uh, Luke Sanders coming off a loss to Nathan Manus. He was looking good in that fight, and then he gets caught and submitted. Felipe Colares got his ass beat by Montel Jackson, like very clearly. I was very surprised how tough this guy is. And honestly, just based off of that alone, I'm going to have to go with Colares because he took a beating from Montel Jackson and he kept coming after him. And that type of, I guess, spark from a fighter is always nice to see. Like win or lose, you'll feel comfortable losing your money. Let's just say he doesn't win. You'll at least feel comfortable that he tried. For Luke Sanders, it's quite the opposite. He's 35 years old compared to the 27-year-old Felipe Colares. He may have the slightly longer reach, but he is shorter by 2 inches. But for Luke Sanders, he's very untrustworthy. Like he has his moments, and he can really hurt and knock out anybody. It's just that ever since Becky Lynch stumped him, he's never been the same. So I'll go with Felipe Colares to win this one. I will say by it has to be a stoppage. I think a stoppage. I'm going to say maybe like a late, like second round TKO.
It's funny. I was just thinking the exact same thing. For this file, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think age is going to be a factor. I think Felipe Colares has youth on his side, and I think, and you have a point when Luke isn't that trustworthy. If you look at his record, his last few fights, he's traded off wins and losses. Per his record, he's set. He should be set for a win here, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Not against Colares. Colares, I think, is tougher than he is. He trains with Team Nogueira, I'm guessing in Brazil. Didn't say which Team Nogueira he trains with. But yeah, I think age and the fact that Luke, yeah, he's not the Luke that we're looking for, or that the droids. What's that line? Whatever that line is from Star Wars. He's not the droid. Whatever. Yeah, keep it short and sweet. I think Colares's youth, his toughness are going to come out here. I'd say first round guillotine.
Our second fight, we've got Poliana Botelho versus Dread Luana Carolina. For this fight, I looked at tape to kind of get an idea because I haven't really seen much of either, other than Luana, who got her knee destroyed by Lipsky that last fight. And I'm like, is there some value on her? Because currently the odds are um, plus 135 for Carolina and Botelho's minus 155. So I'm looking at it as like, oh, where can I find the value in these fights, especially women's MMA? Sometimes the underdog really, really, really pays off. Doug Rose, for example. So I'm looking at it, and both of these girls keep their chin in the air. Both of these girls have very sloppy striking, and both of these girls are very unreliable. So my official pick is Poliana Botelho. The main reason for it is because she actually grapples. She has the ability to actually control the grappling slightly. Her striking is, I don't know, it's not impressive. Again, they keep their chin in the air, both of them. So even me picking Botelho, I'm going to pick her by submission second round, but I would stay away from it. This is one of those fights where these two girls are swinging, and then Carolina, who is significantly the lesser fighter, will catch Botelho, knock her out. It can happen. Logically, though, I have to go with Botelho. I think she's going to take it to the ground, controller, and then just submit her. Maybe let's go rear naked choke. So second round rear naked choke for Botelho.
Funny. I was thinking about second round guillotine because I see Carolina, maybe going for a weird double leg or something. And her, I don't see her as a great wrestler or offensive grappler. She'll get caught and probably guillotine. At least that I foresee. Um, I think it's kind of a weird matchup because Luana is another one who's shorter in height by 2 inches, but has a 2 inch reach advantage. So she's, I have this picture in my head where she's kind of stumpy with long arms. Um, yeah, so that's kind of strange, at least in my head. She does have the youth advantage, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to have any effect here. I think Botelho's, as you mentioned, ground game is going to put her on top here. I think probably first round guillotine. What did I say? First round guillotine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go with first round guillotine here. With for Botelho, that is not Carolina.
Our next matchup at strawweight, we've got Quiet Storm, Randa Markos versus Luana Pinheiro. And this is another one of these fights where I'm like, maybe there's some value on the underdog. The current odds have it at uh, Randa Markos plus 160 and then Pinheiro minus 185. So the story right now is Randa Markos has been on a pretty bad slump. She's 10-10 overall, 10-10-1 to be exact. And she has got a 3-fight losing streak, but she lost to Amanda Hebas, understandable, lost to Mackenzie Dern, very understandable, and then she lost to Kanako Murata, which, it happens. As for Luana, she's actually on a pretty good win streak. She last fought on the Contender Series where she knocked out Stephanie Frausto. And looking at it and then getting a feel for this fighter, because I didn't know too much about her, she is a judoka with heavy hands, is how she's listed as. I'm not too sold on her power, though. I know she does have some power, especially in these weight division, straw weight, especially women's straw weight. But when I was looking at her fight with Frausto, she was very, very inactive until she actually landed that clean punch and then finished up with ground and pound. It's almost like she abandons her grappling primarily to get the knockout, which is a double-edged sword, right? Because if you abandon what gets you to the game, especially something that you're good at, just to focus on the one thing, that one thing might never come. For Randa Markos, though, the thing about her is that despite her losses, she's very scrappy, and she's one of these girls that will fight for your money. If she gets on top of you, it's a problem. And to be honest, like she is 35 years old compared to the 27 years old uh, Luena. But something about Randa Markos, I get a feeling she might get a win. Another reason is because some of these girls from the Contender Series come in here with a lot of hype, and they're giving people to essentially steamroll, and they don't do it. Like that fight with Junyu Frey, I forgot the name of the girl that was going to come in here, Gloria De Paula, I believe, was going to come in here and just roll through her, and she got that vet lesson. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here. Randa Markos is just way more experience. I think if she gets to the ground, which I get a feeling it will touch the ground at least once, Randa Markos is going to get better position because I think she'll get taken down, but she'll sweep from bottom, and then chaos is going to happen. So I'll go with Randa Markos to win. I will say by a submission on the Brazilian. Yeah. So I'll go with second round submission for Markos. I think that's been literally almost all of my picks, second round. But yeah, second round submission for Randa Markos.
I'm also going with Ronda. I'll keep this one short as well. This one's a women's MMA fight. I don't foresee too much action. I think Ronda's gonna just negate a lot of the offense from Luana. And I think she's going to use all of her experience to make this one, uh, uh, you know, bathroom break, I guess. Not sure if that applies, if that applies anymore. I haven't said that in a while. But yeah, if you need to use the bathroom this match, the 15 minutes or however long, what, half an hour that they reserve for these fights. So if you eat too many chili wings or whatever, this is probably the time to do it, because this is going to be a snooze fest. Probably going to be Randa just kind of either laying on top of her, or just pushing her up against the cage, not really doing all that much, and getting the I'd say pretty boring decision win. So I'll go with Randa. I think she's gonna get over 500 here. She's gonna be 11-10 after this. So Ronda by decision.
One question for you: chili wings, are these hot wings or are they like wings
Oh,
with chili on them?
I'd say either or both maybe.
I actually pictured like hot wings with chili on them, and I'm like, that's diarrhea waiting to happen, just like this fight.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Well, because there's a restaurant here in LA that I don't know if you remember it. I forgot the name off the top of my head, but it's cafeteria style, Italian food, cafeteria style. And
Yeah, I remember.
usually, what I'll do sometimes is I'll order a roasted chicken breast, but I'll ask them to put meat sauce on it. It's weird, freaky, but it's delicious.
Moving on to the next fight at featherweight, we've got Mowgli Gabriel Benitez versus Jonathan JSP Pearce. Um, right off the bat, not a fan of Jonathan Pearce. He is like the white Tyron Woodley for me. Just that I do not like him, and I frankly don't understand why. I just don't like this guy. The odds currently have it: Benitez minus 190, Jonathan Pearce plus 165. And I'll be very brief with this one. I don't think Jonathan Pearce is that good. He's 10-4, but he's not been impressive. Even with his win with Kai Kamaka, I wasn't impressed. He even I honestly still think Kai Kamaka is the overall better fighter between the two. It's just that he got, I guess, exhausted by carrying around Jonathan Pearce. Jonathan Pearce kind of laid on him, and then he got behind him and then started pounding him out on the ground. As for Benitez, I think he is just a supremely better fighter. We've heard it time and time again that DC keeps saying that Benitez is the hardest kicker that Javier Mendez has ever held pads for. And it does show his kicks are very solid. His last win was a knockout over Justin James, and he handled business. He was beating arguably Sadiq Youssef, which I guess at this point, after seeing him lose to Arnold Allen, is not like, oh my God, he almost beat Sadiq Youssef, but he was whipping his ass until he got caught. And I think he's just the overall better fighter, especially now. I think he's improving. Even at his age 32, he's improving very, very much. And it says it's at featherweights. That's a little surprising because I know Benitez went back up in weight, so that might play a factor. Because I'll give it to Jonathan Pearce. He's like a walking zombie. As much as I don't think he's very skilled, he is durable to an extent. His last loss was to Joe Lozon, where again he got big brothered by Lozon. He got hurt by Lozon, and then Lozon just, lack of a better word, fucked him up on the ground. But I will go with Benitez. I think he's going to catch Jonathan Pearce. I think Benitez sets his striking better. I should say he sets his strikes better. Jonathan Pearce just kind of wings. And if he gets tired, which I predict he will because he's going to take a nasty kick to the body, I see Benitez just steamrolling. So I'll go with second round knockout, Benitez.
I'll go with Benitez just because Jonathan Pierce's nickname is a little too close to GSP. Um, yeah, and yes, GSP did ruin the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series for me. He appeared in more than one episode. I know you predicted he wouldn't, or he would. I forgot, but
Yeah, I took the
he did.
over.
Yeah, he did appear in more than one episode. He appeared in half of them, and so that by default ruined the series for me. And thereby associating JSP with GSP, I just don't like him. So I'll also go with Benitez, mainly because of his kicking ability. I think he'll be able to chop at Jonathan Pearce, especially when they get close, because he does have a 4-inch height advantage. So that's a little bit worrisome, but they have the same reach, so that's kind of freaky. But yeah, I'll go with Benitez. I'll go Benitez by decision.
Our next matchup at middleweight, we've got Sean Tarzan Strickland versus Christoph Jotko. Very interesting fight. Honestly, one of the main fights that I'm quite looking forward to, because Sean Strickland, as of late, he has been looking really damn good. His last fight with Brandon Allen was an eye opener, and then as for Jotko, he almost seems like he's crawling out of a pit at this point, especially after his last few performances. The odds currently have it at minus 235 for Strickland, and Jotko is plus 195. The odds are absolutely correct, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a pick 'em. No, well, I guess not necessarily a pick 'em, but like just the odds would be a lot closer because Jotko is still a very skilled guy. But I will say the more dangerous fighter at this point will be Sean Strickland. He is 6'1", 76-inch reach. Come back on Jotko, he's 6'1" and 1 inch reach advantage, 77 inches. They're nearly identical in every single way. The thing is that Strickland, at this moment, he seems like he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's been looking a lot more aggressive in the cage. He beat the shit out of Jack Marshman. It's just strictly standing, which was cool. It's like, yeah, everyone beats Jack Marshman, but he punked him around. I was like, damn, he's punking around the white Mike Tyson. And then for Brendan Allen, he was whipping Brendan Allen's ass. He TKO'd him, and I didn't expect that. I actually picked Brendan Allen because I thought he was just the more overall skilled fighter. But no, Sean Strickland put me in my place. I was like, damn, this guy's really improved. As for Jotko, he has that bit of a question mark to his name right now because his last few losses, he lost to Uriah Hall, a fight where he was dominating, and then he gets crushed. Brad Tavares knocked him out. And there is that joke that Brad Tavares can't knock out a paperback, but he got knocked out by him, so that's concerning. And then he's been fighting just lower level competition. He beat Alan Amadovsky. Okay, great. He beat Mark Andre Barrio, which is like not very impressive. I don't care how good he's gotten. It's not very impressive. And then Eric Anders. I mean, there's an easy way to beat Eric Anders. I have to go with Strickland. I think he's just going to be the more aggressive guy. I think he's going to engage more in the striking. Jotko is more of a like he leans back a bit and he styles on you from the outside. I don't think Strickland's going to take that. It's a possibility Strickland can get caught. He's been knocked out before, but that was at a lighter weight class, and it was Zaleski who knocked him out with a spinning hook kick. So I'll go with Sean Strickland. I think he's just going to be the overall more aggressive fighter, and predictably, I'm going second round knockout.
Um, I'm going with Strickland simply because I think he's been more active. It's actually been close to a year since Jotko last fought Eric Anders. And I don't think he beat him, all that convincingly. I think more Eric Anders is just going downhill. I think he's going to be cut pretty soon. I don't think Eric Anders is UFC material. I think he's, a Bellator or PFL or bare knuckle contender. But yeah, I don't think he belongs. I think I would put Eric Anders in the same category as what's that NFL heavyweight guy?
Hardy, Greg Hardy.
Hardy, yeah, I would put him in the same category as Greg Hardy. Yeah, these guys definitely do not belong in the UFC. So I'll go with Strickland just because he's more active, and I think he'll pull it off. Jotko, he's very, as you mentioned, he's very what was the word? Unreliable. Sean, not that Sean Strickland is a sure thing in this fight. I'd say the fight is this is probably one of the more evenly matched fights. But yeah, I think Sean Strickland's going to get the decision here. I'll go with Strickland by decision.
Our next matchup at strawweight, we've got Sam Page Hughes versus Loma Lookboonmee. Very fascinating matchup, not because of the actual matchup itself, is because of the odds. I was like, are you effing kidding me? Minus 340 for Loma. Sam Hughes comes back at a plus 280. I understand the odds, but this is women's MMA. This shouldn't be that wide because there's a way that Sam Hughes can win this fight. I know Lookboonmee, you know, excellent Muay Thai fighter, right? Like very, very good at the striking, but she is always going to be at a disadvantage in the height. She's 5'1", 62-inch reach. And frankly, it hasn't stopped her yet from getting wins. It's just very concerning. And Sam Hughes comes back. She's 28 years old. She's 5'5" with a 64.5-inch reach. She is not the better striker in this situation, not remotely, not closely. Like they're in separate islands. Like Sam Page's striking compared to Lookboonmee striking. And that's how it's going to be for most of her fights for Loma Lookboonmee. She's going to be the better striker. But there's ways you can beat her because Angela Hill showed us how to do that. Like her striking is not as good, but she was able to beat Lookboonmee. She was able to bully her around. And I see Sam Hughes having that success early. I think Lookboonmee, she's very undersized, especially at that weight class. But what is she going to do? Her striking, phenomenal. It's just that I get a slight feeling that Sam Hughes might be bullying her a little bit. That's honestly her only way to victory. Uh, but I'm not picking her regardless. I still have Loma Lookboonmee to win this one. I think she's going to really piece her up. I will say this: anyone who loses to Vanessa Demopoulos does not belong to the UFC. I don't consider her to be very good overall, even though I think she fought for the LFA title and she fought in the contender series. She's not my cup of tea. Uh, I will say again, Sam will have some success maybe in the clinch, but Loma, her tie clinch is devastating. And Sam Hughes, I tried really hard to find some justification, like, oh, maybe Sam's gonna like catch her or something. Like, no, like her striking's pretty shit. So I can actually even see Loma knocking her out, but I will go with Loma to win this one by a decision. I think she'll be the more active fighter. Even if Sam does hold her up a bit, I think she'll still be attacking with elbows off the clinch. She'll just be the way more active fighter. So I'll go Loma to win this one by a very clear decision.
Yeah, I think Loma's become at least one of my favorite fighters to watch. She's not the most technical MMA wise, but she is, I'd say, one of the more pure Muay Thai practitioners, if not the purest Muay Thai practitioner right now in the UFC by far. She's exciting to watch. And she just doesn't give up. Despite her loss to Angela Hill, Angela Hill's. I don't know. I thought maybe she'd beat Angela Hill, but maybe I need to go back and rewatch that. But yeah, Jinny Frey, man, as hot as she is, she lost to she lost to Loma convincingly, and the only real I'd say concern I have for Sam is her eye injury. Tisha Torres pieced her up. I don't know. We really don't know how well that eye injury has healed. And while Loma, I don't know. I get the feeling Loma, if she gets into distance, she's gonna go. She'll pretty much go for that eye. And she's crazy, man. She's her nickname might as well be Tiny Tornado as well, because I think she's shorter than Tisha, maybe, or just about as tall as Tisha. And
About the same height, yeah.
Yeah, and she just goes at it, man. She's insane. So I'll go with Loma. Um, yeah, those odds are crazy though. I think they should be a little bit, way closer than that. But I'll take Loma by decision here. Maybe second round TKO, depending on if she can hit her, on that sweet spot on her eye. I mean, I'm not hoping she gets another eye injury, but if she came back too fast, then that's on her.
Our next matchup at middleweight, we've got the return of the Bengal KB Bhullar versus the Spartan Andreas Michailidis. A fascinating matchup, primarily because of the odds, and they're not surprising. We've got Michailidis minus 250, KB Bhullar plus 210. And I instantly had a pick when I heard this one. And I'll be frank, I like KB Bhullar. Something about this guy, I think he's a funny guy. I think he's just overall nice, like type of guy you want to just kind of hang out with, but he's not the type of guy you want to bet on because he came into the UFC. He was 8-0, and he was going up against Tom Breeze, and Tom Breeze knocked him down with a jab. And I know a lot of people might be thinking, yeah, this guy has no chin. I don't think that's the case. I think he just got caught with a very nice stiff jab from a guy who has a very nice and stiff jab in Tom Breeze. And it just put him on his ass because in that fight, he actually got hit with a clean, I think it was a left, very clean that should have knocked him out as he had like a Overeem-esque chin, but it didn't knock him out. He's pretty decent, KB Bhullar. I don't know, man. Like I'm rooting for the guy. Something about him, I just find him fascinating. I think he's just like a nice guy. Like you can't help but root for the guy. But Michailidis, man, he is a savage. His last fight with Modestas Bukauskas, I think we both agree he got screwed over on that one. Like he got hit in the back of the head. He didn't get knocked out, but if you call those illegal, not illegal, but legal, even then, like he had a chance to go back to his stool, but as he's getting up, the cage opens and he falls backwards and the fucking ref calls it off. I was like, wow. Like, not because I have money on the guy, but it's like, how are you going to do a guy like that? But he was doing really well until that moment, until he went for the takedown and he got blasted in the back of the head. He landed some good punches on Modestas. And on the ground, I think he's just a superior fighter. He's a tank. He reminds me of Jimmy Crute, but, Greek, and a stronger leg. So I'll go with Michailidis to win this one. Second round knockout. I think Bhullar, I'm not counting him out. I think he is a tough guy. I think he's got some skill. He could have definitely evolved since that last fight. And frankly, he's not fighting Tom Breeze anymore because when Tom Breeze is on and he's not having a panic attack in the back in the locker rooms, he's a fantastic fighter. But hopefully KB shows us a bit more. Even in a loss, I kind of want to see him with a bit more output. But Andreas Michailidis, he is the play. I'll have him by a finish for sure. The under, if it's under 2.5, I think he'll finish him either on the ground or possibly knockout. But I've got Michailidis in the second round.
I've actually got Michailidis in the first round. I think he'll get either ground and pound, or maybe even a submission. I don't think KB Bhullar is gonna, it might be, he might surprise us all. He might, have the strength of a Bengal tiger, and he might, uppercut Andreas Michailidis, against the cage, which might sit down Andreas, and then they open the cage during the fight for some reason and he gets fucked over a second time. I don't think that's going to happen, so I'm going to go with Michailidis with a first round finish, either ground and pound or let's see, maybe an arm triangle.
Our next matchup, we've got the Fighting Hawaiian, Kai Kamaka III versus downtown TJ Brown, fighting at featherweight. I'll start with the odds on this one. If we have them yet, there they are. It's minus 160 for Kamaka, TJ Brown plus 140. And I know we've been going over these fights relatively quickly, and this will be no different. Kai Kamaka, I consider him to be a really good fighter. I like the way I just like his package, everything, his package, the total package of Kai Kamaka. I mentioned his dick, but no, I like Kai Kamaka. I like the way he fights. His fight with Tony Kelly was phenomenal. And as I mentioned, I thought Jonathan Pearce was just going to get pieced up. I thought he's going to eat a ton of body shots from Kai Kamaka, and Kamaka was going to maybe edge out a decision, a very close decision, maybe even a finish. TJ Brown, though, like his only game is to take it to the ground, which if you're a one-dimensional fighter fighting a guy with the type of skill that Kai Kamaka has, it's going to be a bad night for you. Danny Chavez kind of pieced him up on the feet. He attacked the leg early, which instantly threw off TJ Brown. And then he fought Jordan Griffin before that, before Danny Chavez, and he got submitted in one of the goofiest guillotines ever. It's like, dude, you're a ground specialist, yet you get caught in this funky submission. And I just don't think TJ Brown is UFC caliber. I know he won his fight in the contender series to get in here, and he looked impressive. But when you're fighting lower level competition, man, it's not going to work out for you in the UFC. There is a chance. I'm not going to say Brown has no chance because Kai Kamaka, there was some sketchy moments on the ground, and he is the shorter fighter. He's 5'7" compared to 5'9" for TJ Brown. He has the lesser reach. He's a 69-inch reach for Kamaka, 73.5-inch reach for TJ Brown. I know nearly for a fact that TJ Brown won't know how to use that reach advantage. I think Kamaka's going to kind of crash into him body first and just really, really hurt TJ Brown and then just gas him out, because I've seen TJ Brown gas out before. Kai Kamaka, he gasses out from beating your ass. So I'll go with Kai Kamaka in the third round to get a late stoppage. I think those accumulative body shots and leg kicks are going to really add up. And TJ Brown is just going to crumble in the last round after taking so much punishment. So I'll go Kamaka, third round knockout.
I'll go with Kamaka here, second round TKO. I think that fight with Jonathan Pearce, I think he was just outmatched, I think height-wise, because he was really short. Or rather, I think the height difference just, really played a part there. Here, he's only 2 inches shorter than TJ Brown, and I think he's going to have the reach to get to him. So I'll say second round TKO. I think he's going to make a comeback, and he's going to get his 9th win in the octagon. Really isn't too much age difference or anything else like that. I think he's just a scrappier fighter. This is going to be in Vegas, so I don't believe there's going to be a big crowd in the what's that place called? The Apex.
Yeah,
Apex. But yeah, I think it's going to be. He's going to make it an exciting fight nonetheless. So I'll go with Kai, second round TKO.
Before we start the main card, I'd like to ask, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. We love the comments. Our last video, we had a ton of them, and we really appreciate those. What's funny is that there was a moment where we hit, I think, 69 subscribers. And if I wish I had the ability to do like a community post and be like, no more subscribers, we're perfect, leave it at 69. But no, we appreciate it, man. It's been awesome. Like, it's nice seeing people really engage and talk to us. It doesn't matter what you guys say to us. Like, if you want to ask us a question, we really appreciate having that back and forth, because we love this damn sport. But yeah, keep it up, guys. Again, really appreciate it.
But I have to say, any comments, and really, it doesn't even have to be about the fight card. If you think we suck, if you think we're great, just let us know. Whatever you guys want to talk to us about. If you sat in traffic for an hour, going each way, to and from work, like I do, hey, that's cool. Do you think about MMA during that hour in traffic? Are you listening to the podcast during traffic like I do? Because I actually listen. Funny thing, I actually listen to our podcast going to work and coming back. Just kind of listening to, like, I don't remember saying that sort of thing. I do that all the time. I'm like, why the hell did I pick this guy to win? Or something like that. Or it's like, hey, was I out of my goddamn mind? When I thought Masvidal had a chance, I was like, oh yeah, no, I did predict Kamaru winning or something like that. It's just funny, listening to yourself, what is it, several days or a week or whatever after you actually record. You're like, what the hell was I thinking picking this, this fighter, or actually thinking this woman would whatever. Anyway, yeah, so leave comments about whatever, leave comments about leaving comments. Like, hey, leaving comments suck, well, let us know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
To begin the main card, we've got a fight between Ion the Cutelaba and Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby. I don't know what a Hanyak is, but the odds currently are a pick'em. We've got -110, -110. And I can see why, because Ion, he has looked a little, well, I can't necessarily even say it was bad. Like, yeah, he got knocked out twice by the same guy, Magomed Ankalaev, but that's Magomed Ankalaev. Like, he really made Ian look. Frankly, he made him his bitch twice, and it was like, man, that really severely hurt Ian's image. And for Dustin Jacoby, I should say, he's looked very good. Like, he came in here in the UFC, and he's looked impressive to semi-impressive, I'll say, because he comes into the UFC beating up Ty Flores. He put a whooping on him so much so he got exhausted in that fight in the third round, and he nearly lost. And then Justin Ledette, he knocks him out, leg kick and punches, very good. And then he fought Max Grisham, and I remember thinking like Dustin's losing. I put money on Dustin. What the fuck? He pulls it off, but it was concerning because he was kind of being stifled a little bit by Maxine Grisham. So I was, yeah, I was worried about that because when he lets it go, he's a way better striker, and he did get kind of hurt sometimes by Grisham. Ian Cutelaba, man, if he connects on you and if he doesn't pay any damn respect to you, he will run through you. And I think that's what's going to happen. I have to go with Cutelaba, despite his losses, despite both of them being by knockout. And I'll count the first Magomed fight as a knockout because the referee, what he saw, and this is what I saw Magomed styling on this guy, like just kicking him hard. He kicked him so hard that even a blocked kick rocked Cutelaba so bad that the referee's like, no, that's enough. So, but I'll still go with Ian Cutelaba. He's just kind of a bulldozer. He's the Hulk for a reason. In certain situations, like this fight with Jacoby, I think he's going to use his grappling because he's a very good grappler. It's just that he prefers to strike. If he doesn't fight like a damn fool, I think he should win this one pretty easily. I think he'll hurt Jacoby on the feet. He should go for a takedown and then just batter him on the ground the same way he did to Khalil Roundtree. I don't think he wanted to play that game with Khalil because Khalil had just looked fantastic beating the shit out of Eric Anders. So I think Cutelaba is going to bust out the old grappling in this fight and get this one to the ground. So I'll go with second round TKO Cutelaba.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short as well. Dustin Jacoby is not Magomed Ankalaev or Glover Teixeira. Young Cutelaba, I think he's a future, what's the word? Gatekeeper. I think he's a future journeyman. And he's, going to be top 15 or top 10 or whatever, but he's going to be at the bottom, even in the pretty, what's it called? Thinned out light heavyweight division. And yeah, I think he's going to take out Dustin Jacoby. I think we're going to see him, earn, or is it earn or re-earn? Earn once again, earn his nickname once again. With I'd say first round KO against Dustin Jacoby.
Our next matchup at bantamweight, we've got Merab the Machine Dvalishvili versus Cody the Spartan Stamann. I'll read the odds to get it started. Where are they? Minus 220 for Merab. Come back on Cody plus 180. These fights have been kind of easy to predict because, Merab has looked pretty damn machine-like. He's a damn Terminator. But if Terminator took you down and then held you there to get a decision, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to do the same thing to Cody Stamann. There's so much information in my head about this one, but the overall pick is going to be Merab Dvalishvili. Primarily the last, what was it? Not his last loss, but Aljamain Sterling is a huge factor in this matchup. Aljamain just kind of wrecked Cody Stamann on the ground. Cody Stamann's striking has improved tremendously from those fights. It's just that he's just not at a certain level. There's certain guys that he will beat easily, but his last loss to Jimmy Rivera just showed that if you primarily try to strike, it ain't going to work for you. And if you try to take down a really good grappler, it ain't going to work for you. And Merab, he is a takedown machine, and he's very relentless, and he's got the cardio. I think he's going to get the decision quite easily. I don't think he'll get the finish. I don't think Merab is ever really going to get a finish, especially once he starts fighting higher level competition. he's just going to rinse and repeat. He does that one thing very well. He strikes enough to get you slightly comfortable, and then he just goes in for the takedown. Dude is just super strong. And there's a reason why he's 87% picked on Tapology and 92% by decision, because that's literally what he does. Like it's kind of like the Khabib effect. Like what he's going to do, and he does it, and he does it consistently. And Cody Stamann is not the most consistent guy. He's getting beat up by Song Yudong, and then he edges it out with a draw with a 10-8. And you can't always rely on a guy like that sometimes. And I'm not trying to shed on Cody. Like I like Cody. It's just that you can't pick him at this point. Like if you have a read on this matchup, go for it. Like if you get a feeling Cody's gonna win, it wouldn't be a horrible play, but the odds aren't tempting enough. They're not like it's plus 180. Like I'm not gonna risk what I would consider kind of a sure thing on Cody Stamann. So I'll go with Merab to win this one pretty damn easily by a decision. Um, Hopefully we see some striking from Merab. I want to see more. This is more of a showcase for Merab to show us, look at how well I'm improving compared to like I'm gonna win easily. Like I need to see more of Merab. This isn't a fight to display the toughness of how Merab's gonna take a punch. It's more of Merab, how well has your striking improved, or how better have your takedowns gotten. Like he's gonna go for the record and go for more takedowns. Yeah, Merab pretty easily by decision.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short as well. I'll take also Merab by decision, but it's mainly due to Cody. I don't know, man. I think he's going downhill. I think he needs. I don't know what he needs, to be honest. He needs to reevaluate his life or his training or whatever, because he does have the tools to be very successful, but something seems to be holding him back. And sure, I think he's a good wrestler, but there's levels to wrestling. I think Cody's more of a like Yoel Romero type wrestler, where he may be. I don't know if he's as explosive as Romero, but he's he'll use that one takedown, and that'll kind of be it. He won't really do anything with it. And then Merab's just relentless. He'll go for chain takedowns. He'll take you down 10 times in a round if you'll allow him to. He'll let you get back up, and then he'll just keep taking you down. He'll just tire you out. I don't know, that's pretty much his game plan going forward until I guess he runs into somebody who has good takedown defense and decent striking, and then he'll realize that it's going to take more than that to win a title. But anyway, at this point, I think Dvalishvili I'm pretty sure I pronounced the name correctly. Somehow is going to take this easy decision. Cody Stamann is going to have to go back to the drawing board.
In our co-main event at featherweight, we've got a fight between Cub Swanson and Ninja Giga Chikadze. The odds are currently minus 200 for Giga, the comeback on Cub, plus 170. And we might have here a little bit of a resurgence from Cub Swanson. He's 2-0 in his last two fights, and he knocked out Daniel Pineda, which surprised me, to be honest. I thought Pineda had a little bit more before he would slump back again. I guess he's not on that vitamin water. And he beat up Kron Gracie to a decision. As for Giga, he's been on a roll. What was his last loss? I can't even remember. Let me look that up. I think it was Austin Springer, wasn't it, in the Contender Series? Yeah, Austin Springer was his last loss, and that was an eye opener because I remember watching that in the Contender Series, and they were hyping up Giga like, "Oh, he's got the Giga kick. Watch out for the Giga kick," and then he gets choked out by Austin Springer. I was like, okay. So since then, though, he's been pretty damn impressive. Like he went through a lot of guys, and it looks like he has progressed to a certain point where I'm like, wow, now I'm impressed. His fight with Jamie Simmons, he knocked him out. That was his first UFC knockout and finish, but it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it wasn't impressive. Like, yeah, he got it, but like he fought Jamie Simmons, and there's not a whole ton you can really say. It was a short notice fight. But I'm backtracking to the Omar Morales fight. A lot of people and their grandmas picked Omar Morales because, oh yeah, Giga's overrated and this and that. And I don't know what I saw that people didn't, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe people are just really underestimating Giga. Yeah, he had a close fight with Jamal Emmers. Yeah, I get that. And he had a weird fight with Irvin Rivera. So it kind of gives the impression that this guy, because he can't finish dudes, he's not impressive and his striking isn't at a certain level. But the fight with Omar, he was the faster guy. He was the cleaner striker. He was the smaller guy in there, and he just made it look really easy. You know, his kicks are great. They're phenomenal. If he lands cleanly, he's gonna knock you out. And I think he's just getting better and better each and every time because his striking is there, and you can definitely tell he's been working on the grappling. I think getting quote unquote cucked by Austin Springer's like, man, I gotta train a lot harder. And for Cub Swanson, yeah, Cub Swanson's looked good in his last few fights, but it's still Cub Swanson, 37 years old. Uh, he's actually at a reach disadvantage in this one. Cub is primarily a boxer, and he's got good striking, right? He mixes things up very nicely, but I just can't see him beating Giga. Like there's obviously a chance, but when he fights better strikers, it doesn't go well for him. Shane Burgos beat him. It was a close fight, but still, Shane Burgos edged it out. And Shane Burgos is nowhere near the level of striker that Giga is. So I have to go with Giga to win this one. I'll go by a decision. I don't think he'll knock out Cub Swanson. I don't really think it'll go to the ground. I think Giga's takedown defense has really held up and is vastly improving. But yeah, these Georgian fighters, as we mentioned before, with him and we'll exclude Roman Dolidze and Merab Dvalishvili and Ilya Taporia, like these guys are just a special type of fighter. And I feel like they're really determined to put their nation on the map and just get recognized. So I'll go with Giga to win this one by a very clear cut decision.
I'm also going with Giga. I think he's got the age advantage. He's got the height advantage. So actually, I think he might. I see him getting a head kick, maybe in the second or third round. So I'll go with TKO by Giga. Yeah, I think his kicks are going to mess him up. He might even disable him by kicking him in the what is it, shin kick? Is that how?
The calf kick.
Calf kick. There we go. Wrong kick. Yeah, I mean, he might even disable him with a really nasty calf kick. And given that Cub isn't exactly 27 anymore, yeah, so I'll go by Giga. He's going to disable him somehow with his kicks by TKO second, third round.
In the main event of the evening, we've got the return of the Dominick Reyes, the Devastator Dominick Reyes, versus Jiri Denisa Prochazka. Very, very fun matchup. Like this, it does very well for a main event. And I'm not surprised that they're putting Jiri in a main event, but I'm a little surprised. I think they're kind of trying to push him very fast into that title picture because the guy is very, very exciting. If you look at his record, it's just finish after finish, and you'll see some recognizable names in there. But he's also lost to a couple recognizable names. Like, dude, he retired, and by retired I mean like TKO retired, TKO retired Nemkov back in Ryzen in 2015. So that's like, damn, that win looks better. And then you see that he got knocked out by King Mo. And then since then, he's been on a tear. So I'll read you some of the dudes that he's beaten that are semi-recognizable to recognizable. He knocked out Carl Brixen, who actually just recently beat the shit out of the older, lesser Nemkov. He beat Brendan Halsey. I think, yeah, that is the former Bellator middleweight champion. He knocked out King Mo in their rematch. He knocked out Fabio Maldonado, the Fedor Slayer. He knocked out CB Dalloway, the one-time top 10 middleweight after beating Francis. I forgot his last name, Francis Claremont or Carmont, which is he didn't belong. I don't know how the hell he got in the top 10 middleweight. And then he knocked out Volkan Uzdemir. Let me tell you a little story about this fight. When I saw Volkan Uzdemir fighting Jiri Prochazka, I was like, man, this is a spot where I think Volkan is going to knock out the young up and comer coming from a different organization, fighting less than acceptable top quality opponents, and he's gonna make it look easy. And then yeah, it didn't work out for me because I was actually in Vegas at that time for that fight, the Masvidal versus Usman fight. Yeah, dude, I was devastated. I had Volkan on a couple different parlays, and every single one needed Volkan to win to cash out, and it was devastating, just as devastating as that knockout was. I really, really slept on Prochazka or Prochazka. I can't pronounce his name properly because I looked at the CB Dalloway knockout. I'm like, dude, you knocked out CB Dalloway in the first round, like big effing deal, like good for you. He proved me wrong, uh, but I'm still not 100% sold on the guy because he has a certain style that really throws people off. He fucker jumps in the air slightly and then he tries to attack. I'm like, what the hell? Of course, it's going to throw some people off. Dude is very, very active with his striking. He sets things up. I like the kid. He's very, very exciting. It's just that I can't pick him right now against Dominick Reyes. I might be shooting myself in the foot, but something about Dominick Reyes, his last losses, kind of give me the impression that he might be coming back and he's going to show us something different. Currently, I'll reread the odds because yeah, minus 145 for Prochazka and plus 125 for Reyes. They're not the greatest odds for picking an underdog, but I get the feeling that Reyes, after taking the ass whooping from Jan Blahovic, I think he's going to learn a lesson. I think he's going to kind of change up his style a little bit, especially against Jiri, because Jiri, he's kind of a balls to the wall type of guy, and he's not the most defensively sound. Like he has good defense, but he does leave some openings in there because of his style. He has to be aggressive, but with that aggression, he does leave some openings in there. And I get a feeling that Dominick Reyes might go back to form here. He either is going to come back and look better than ever, or he's done. He's one of the two because if he loses to Jiri, he's not touching a title. He's not getting anywhere near a title. And I think he knows that after losing to John. I think, yeah, John was a huge underdog in that one because we all expected Dominick Reyes to really recreate that performance with John Jones. But in reality, John Jones isn't the same John Jones. And Dominick Reyes kind of, I guess, used that performance to justify him winning the next fight with John. And he didn't take John as seriously. And he paid the ultimate price for that. And I really think Dominick Reyes is going to really use his footwork, be more defensively sound. And I think he's going to catch Jiri because I don't think Jiri's, I think he's kind of like a glass cannon, in my opinion. That I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong because the guy hits hard. He's very dynamic and he's been making fools out of guys. Like he knocked out Volkan Oezdemir, but Volkan, he's very much a plotty type of fighter. He's not very explosive and he is easily hit. As much as he hits hard, he is hit easily. Dominick, if I think he's on his bike and he uses his footwork, I think he can catch Jiri with that straight left. He'll lull him to sleep a little bit. I think Jiri might get a little frustrated and just leave an opening and he's going to get caught. Either that or Dominick Reyes is going to use his strike, or not striking, but his wrestling. And between both of these guys, I know for a fact that Dominick Reyes is a better baseball player. So I'll go with that. I'll go with Dominick Reyes to win this one by a second round knockout. I think he's going to catch him, and I think he's going to put his name back in the title contention.
I'm actually going with Jiri on this one. I'd have to look on a map. I don't know how far away the Czech Republic is from Poland, but I think Dominick Reyes is going to have flashbacks, and he's going to experience Czech, some Czech power. In this one, I think he's going to get his third loss in a row. I think he's still, in his mind, he's still adamant that he beat John Jones and he's the champion. And I'm pretty sure he thinks that he beat Jan Reyes after getting his, getting knocked out, a la, Sugar Rashad Evans against Lyoto Machida. I think Jiri isn't I underestimated Jiri against Ozdemir. I had Ozdemir winning that fight, or maybe I overestimated Ozdemir in that fight. Uh, but Jiri seems to be the real deal. I think he is going to run over Reyes. Like a sleepy truck driver in the middle of the night out in the woods running over a raccoon. And yeah, at 31 years, I think Reyes is over the hill. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's done. To be honest, I don't think he's ever going to see another title shot ever again. So we'll go with Jiri Prochazka by third round KO.
Well, those have been our picks for UFC Fight Night Reyes versus Prochazka. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And that's been us. Those have been our picks. Johnny and Jose, Tiger Bomb MMA. And we'll catch you at the next fight.